Hi, I'm Alex from Sunrise Stained Glass. This is the first of a series of videos which will show you some of the techniques that we use in making stained glass windows. To do that, we're going to make this small piece hanging up behind me. It's quite a small, simple piece for a beginner. It does include some straight lines, curves, different shapes to practice cutting, so it's got enough challenge in it. But it's quite small, won't use up too much glass, and quite easy to make. I've actually resized this window to an A4 format. Now you can go onto our website, which you'll find here, www.sunriseglass.co.uk, and you can print this off, and then you can make this window design yourself at home. The first stage of making a window is drawing out the plan, drawing the window out. I've already done this here. Like I say, you can skip that stage and just print this out of the website if you like. If you're drawing out your own design, be careful about the border lead. You will have to think about that in advance, because the thickness of the lead that you use on the border will influence the overall size of your panel. So on this, I've drawn this out to use a 10mm wide lead, and we're using a flat lead on the border. If I place the lead on here, you see running around the border of this drawing there are two lines. There'd usually be three. The most outer line would obviously represent the outermost border of the window. That is represented by the edge of the page on this, because we are making the window to an exact A4 size. The middle line represents the heart of the lead. I'll show you this cutaway. This is a cutaway piece of 10mm lead, and inside you can see the heart. Now our glass will only go up to the heart, which is the reason this inside line has been drawn. So when we're cutting the glass will go up to this middle line. Now you could use a C-section lead for the border of your window. If you're going to do that, you'd obviously have to make an allowance for it in your drawing. We're using a H-section lead, which is why we've drawn the window out as we have. Using a H-section for the border looks a bit thicker, so kind of borders the piece nicely. But also, if you're going to fit a window into a frame, by using a H-section on the edge, it gives you a little bit of leeway, because you can just trim down a little bit of lead using a plane or maybe a knife from the edges. So if the window was a little bit big, you could just, or if the frame was a little bit crooked or something, you can make amends, a little bit of leeway, and it helps you fit it. When your drawing is all finished and you're happy with it and it's ready to go, the next stage is making the patterns, and that's what this video mainly concerns, pattern making. As this drawing is just an A4 piece, you could just scan it and reproduce a few more copies, or just simply print off extra copies. But for a bigger window, that can be quite inconvenient or not always possible. So we're going to show you the other method of doing it, which is using graphite paper. The first layer is going to be a slightly thicker paper or thin card. Now the reason for using this is that this bottom layer is going to later become your stencils from which you will cut your glass. They'll give you the shapes and everything for your glass. So a slightly thicker card is a bit more convenient, stops the paper curling up when you're trying to draw around it later. So we're using that on the bottom. Then we add a layer of graphite paper. Make sure you put the dark graphite side down. The paper that we use to make copies is also known as carbon paper or transfer paper. Next we're going to add just a piece of regular plain paper. Another sheet of graphite paper, dark side down. Then on the top we put our design. Now we need to pin that sandwich all together, to hold it all together when we're drawing. I just use drawing pins. And now you need to get your pencil and draw around all of the lines on your drawing. Trace over every line. You have to press fairly hard because we're making more than one copy underneath here. I'm going to use a ruler to draw the straight lines. You want to get these lines as accurate as you can, because like I said, you're making your glass stencils underneath, so any inaccuracy here will be projected onto your final work. Okay, so we're going to draw over all of these lines using a fair amount of pressure. Now, when you've traced all your lines, you have to number each individual piece of glass. This is for when you've cut all your stencils, you can keep track of what your stencils are. So I'm just going to number them here. Okay, now those numbers should be transferred to all copies, so you can keep track of what's what. Before you take this whole sandwich arrangement apart, just check that you haven't missed any lines or missed numbering any pieces. To do this, just remove the top 2 pins. I use one of these kind of clips for removing pins. It's quite handy. Then you can peel back and check your copies. That looks good. Whilst being able to replace everything in the same exact place. If you've missed anything, you can then go back over. Now, we've checked that looks good, so we can remove the last 2 pins. Our first copy back up here. This graphite paper can be used again. As you might be able to see, this one's been used a great deal of times. It still works. Now we have our original copy, we have a copy which we can lead up on, and we have a copy which we can cut our stencils out from. Now, to cut stencils, you need what are called pattern shears. Pattern shears might look like regular scissors at first glance, but if you look at them closely, they have 2 parts on that side and 1 on the other. So when you cut with them, they remove a small channel through the paper that you're cutting. The reason we want to do that is this small piece of paper or a card that's been removed represents the thin heart of our channel lead. If I take you back to this cutout, you remember there was a little heart inside. If we don't make allowance for that, when we're cutting the glass, when we go to assemble the window, nothing will fit properly. So we use these pattern shears to cut out all our internal lines. That removes the little bit of paper that corresponds to the lead heart, and then everything will fit together perfectly. The first stage here is to cut out our border. Now, I've drawn on both border lines here. The outside border line was just represented by the edge of the paper, so I haven't drawn that on, because we are just going to go to the most outside line here. That represents the edge of where the glass will be. The inner line represents the edge of where the lead will come to. Obviously our glass will sit in the lead channel, so we're going to ignore that inner line for making our stencils, and we want to cut not with pattern shears, with regular scissors. Across this line. So now that is the outermost border of our glass. The rest of the cutting can now be done with the pattern shears. Now when you're cutting with pattern shears, try to remove the line. So the, as I demonstrated, the thin strip that will be removed, try and make that the line that you're removing. As you cut out the pieces, you might find it helpful to place them onto your copy like that. That way they don't all get jumbled up. And remember, accuracy is key. Any faults, any deviations from the line here will translate onto your final piece. Now you can see all these small bits of paper here. They're all the little bits that have been removed from our drawing. And now we are left with our stencils. When all your pattern pieces are cut out, the pattern making stage is complete. We have all our stencil pieces here. The appropriate amount of paper has been removed to compensate for the heart of the lead, and they're ready to be used in our next phase where we'll be cutting out the glass. So we've got our pattern pieces cut, our copy made, and our original drawing, everything numbered. For an extensive range of glass tools and glass products, please visit our website www.sunriseglass.co.uk. That will take you to the shop site. If you'd like to view some of the kind of windows and some of the work that we do here in the Sunrise Stained Glass studio, please visit our studio website. The address for that is www.stained-windows.co.uk. If you go to the gallery, then you'll be able to see some of the work that we do here. The next video will concentrate on cutting the glass. Thank you for watching.